What up, reader fam? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you another recommendations video. Hey! And today's video is being sponsored by Disney Book Group. Now this is gonna be like a graphic novels, webcomics, and comics recommendations video because I haven't done one in a while and it's time to get with the times. I'm also partly making this video because I want recommendations from y'all. So if you got recommendations for me in the graphic novel, comics, or webcomics realm, then hit me up down below in the comments. Today's video is inspired by the recent release of Brightly Woven, the graphic novel by Alexander Bracken, adapted by Lee Dragoon, and art by Kit Seaton. This is one of the only Alexander Bracken stories that I've yet to consume, and listen, I have been wanting to get my hands on this, but it's been hard to get my hands on this, so I'm glad that it is now in graphic novel format so I can just eat it right up. I couldn't be more thrilled that it was picked up to be adapted into a graphic novel, because now I have the opportunity to read this story that I have been wanting to read for so long. If you didn't know, this is an adaptation of Alexander Bracken's first novel, her debut novel, the first book that she ever popped out into the world, Brightly Woven, which was released back in 2010, which why does 2010 feel like a million years ago? Because it kind of was a million years ago. I don't want to talk about that. I'll get way too overwhelmed. Time is going by way too fast. Stop it. Time, slow down. In this book, we follow a talented weaver by the name of Seidel who wants nothing more than to get outside of her little village. And that dream might become a reality when this wizard boy shows up in her little village asking Seidel for some help. Wayland, this wizard boy who comes walking down the street singing he comes walking into the village, knows that he has the ability to kind of relieve the tension between kingdoms that's currently happening and stop a war from breaking out. But he needs Seidel's help. He wants her to join him and help him mend his magical cloaks along the way. Together they go on an adventure to stop the kingdoms from hitting, full-on war. They don't want no war to happen. They're gonna go together. They're gonna help stop it. Or try their best. But along the way they encounter some trouble. One comes in the form of a dark wizard and the other comes in the form of weather. The weather is just chaotic, man. On this journey, Seidel is beginning to pick up little bits and pieces of Wayland's past, and it's kind of sending her into Confusionville. But not only that, she's also starting to come into her own strange abilities and figure them the heck out. She begins to realize that the fate of the kingdoms may in fact rest in her fingertips, which I know does not reveal a lot, but that's because I know nothing about her magical abilities yet, but something tells me it has to do with her fingertips. I think she can do some magic-y magic with her fingertips. I just don't know what that is exactly yet, but I think it has to do with weaving. I could be wrong, but me thinks that's where it's heading. Something is telling me that she's more than just a weaver. The story is set to be full of humor and adventure, which are two things that I love in a book. And of course, it's got a little bit of romance tucked up in there as well. Match those things with the incredible art style, and I'm sure to love this graphic novel. I have been beyond curious about this story just because I've read a majority of Alexander Bracken's books. I was never able to get my hands on the original novel because it was just so hard to find, and it feels weirdly surreal to have this in my hands right now because I tried my best to track down the original novel, but I could not find it anywhere. It'll be really fun to read her debut and just see how far she has come as a writer now, because I'm sure that this story is wildly different from the stories that she releases now, because as authors do, they evolve, so I'm excited to see how much she has evolved from this story. Brightly Woven, the graphic novel, is in stores now if you want to check it out, so inspired by this release, I'm going to be bringing you some recommendations with graphic novels, comics, and webcomics. I've got 5 things to recommend you today, which I feel like is my go-to amount in recommendations videos. I stick to 5, because 5 is a solid number. It's not an overwhelming amount, it's not too many books to add to your TBR, it's just the right amount. So without further ado, let's get started with these recommendations. Let's get wrecking! Let's get wrecked! Let's get wrecked up! The first recommendation I have for you guys today is a graphic novel, and that is The Magic Fish. In The Magic Fish, we follow a boy who is having a hard time coming out to his parents because of the fact that there is a language barrier. Through the language of fairy tales, he hopes that he is able to convey the way that he feels to his parents. But he's beginning to lose hope that he'll ever get the chance to reveal his true self to his parents. This is the one that I've read the most recently, and let me tell you, when I boarded that graphic novel train, we went on a wild ride of emotions. From happy feels to heavy emotions to then tying those things together in a wholesome bow. The story is kind of divided into 3 different parts and then are kind of beautifully woven together. Beautifully woven, brightly woven. I'll stop there. We have the story of our main character and the struggles he has to convey what he wants to his parents. We have his mom's story and taking a peek at the life she left behind in Vietnam. And then we have the fairy tales that come into play, and all of those stories kind of weave together. I think the main reason this book kind of leaped into my heart, it was a fish out of water that leaped into my heart, was because of how interesting it was and how each of these stories were so far different from each other and yet still reflected each other and had themes that were very similar. Despite how wildly different they are at the core, they all end up relating to each other in different ways. And it was just kind of a reminder of the power of storytelling and just how important stories are, because we can be facing a situation and delve into a story and see ourselves in that story and see something that we resonate with, and it can just make us feel less alone. Like, there is power in that, there is beauty in that, there is just... what else is there in that? There's a lot in that, okay? Lost my train of thought. It went out the window. Bye-bye. I would say that while this was kind of a train ride of emotions, it's also one that I feel like is kind of on the softer emotion side. It's not gonna come through and wreck your life necessarily, but it's still an impactful story through and through. We have a beautiful illustration style in this one, and something that really stands out to me is the color palette throughout it and how it kind of uses that to differentiate the different stories. Our main character's story is drenched in red. Then we have the fairy tales told in this like lavenderish, purplish tone, and then the mom's story, which has this kind of yellow, almost brown tone to it. I just loved how the color palette kind of was used as a distinction between the different stories being told. Overall, this one is beautiful, and I highly, highly, highly recommend checking it out. For my superhero lovers, I've got to recommend the Young Avengers comics. I've got to. It's the rules. I don't make the rules. The universe makes the rules, and it was telling me that I gotta recommend these. So I'm gonna do what it told me to do. In this comic run, we follow the Young Avengers, whose parents are currently being mind controlled. And obviously they gotta put a stop to that real quick. I read these quite a while ago, and they really changed the game for me in terms of comics. And maybe that's because I was new to the comic world when I delved into these, but my love tank full on combusted with this series, which is a good thing. Saying that my love tank combusted because I hit the point of love where it explodes. It was an explosion of, you get explosion of love, you get it? There are a few things that the Young Avengers sets out to do and nails. The first one is engaging storytelling. My attention was held from beginning to end, and my eagerness grew with each page flip. I just wanted to keep on keeping on, which is what we want from every book, right? Like, correct me if I'm wrong about that, but like, if a book is not making me eager to keep on reading it, then like, what's the point in reading it? Like, I want to be full on sucked in. I want that hungry for the next page flip reading experience always, always, always. Wow. What is happening to me? Snap out of it. The second thing that it does is give us incredible characters. Sure, there are characters here that we are familiar with, but it brings them into the story with a fresh take, and we're given the chance to experience them through new eyes and with a new adventure. The last thing that this one does really well is through the art format. Now, it does have a very nice art style, but where it shines, in my opinion, is how it takes that art and formats it in a really interesting way. It just brings in this unique flair in how the story plays out. And let me tell you, I loved it. I love when people take something and just make it fresh, make it unique, push the boundaries, and just try to shake up the norm for how things normally go. I love it, 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 I love it. Now, I know that this specific run of the Young Avengers is hard to find these days, but if you're able to find them, I highly recommend checking them out. I think that they are pretty easy to find digitally, so maybe that's where you can find them. But if you get the chance to read them, take that chance because they're worth it. Trust me. The next one I'm hesitant in recommending just because I haven't fully finished it and it's still an ongoing series, and that is the webtoon Let's Play. The initial description for this one is that we follow a girl named Sam who dreams of becoming a game developer. Her first video game that she ever creates ends up being trashed by a wildly popular gamer, and so she begins to lose hope that she'll ever make it in the gaming world. And things only end up getting worse when she realizes that the popular gamer is moving in next door. Now, this is going to be a confusing one for me to recommend because normally I would not go for a webtoon like this. I would not go for a story like this, and that's because it is consumed with romance. Who am I? What is happening? I don't want to talk about it. I don't know how I got sucked into the story. I don't know how I fell into it because normally I would not go for this. No, 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 no. But here I am. I'm trash for Let's Play. If you've been following this train wreck of a channel for a while now, then you know good and well how I feel about romance in books. I feel nothing.
Nothing at all.
But I eat the romance in this one right up, and it's messier than most romances I've read in books. So I don't know what's wrong with me. This girl has found herself in like some kind of romance square situation, and I feel like it's gonna change shapes as the series progresses. Like, I'm not even that far into it yet, and I just know it's gonna like end up being like an octagon or something. I don't know. Sky's the limit with the romance in this. I think maybe the big reason as to why I'm down for this one is because it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, it pokes fun at the different relationships that take place, and like, I'm here for that. The less serious it takes itself, the more on board I become. The characters are all just so much fun. Even though we mostly see through the eyes of our main character Sam, we also have quite a few standout side characters that bring a lot to the story, including our main character's doggo. Like, sometimes we have sections of the story that are seen through the eyes of our main character's dog, and I love it. It gives me life every time. It also takes you through different elements of gaming, and I love seeing that throughout it. From a girl who creates games and is in like a massive gaming guild, and then we follow a guy who is famous for gaming. Another element that I love in it so far is how it's tackling mental health. It does it in this really creative way wherein mental health is almost a character in and of itself within the story. And for a story that's mostly lighthearted and fun, I really appreciate the fact that it kind of brought in a mental health element because of how spot on it hits every time it's brought up. If you're interested in Let's Play, it's actually free online. It's free on the platform Webtoons, and I highly recommend just checking out that platform in and of itself because of the free webtoons you can access there. We love free on this channel. Like I said though, I haven't fully caught up with this webtoon yet though, so this isn't a full-on recommendation per se, but I've loved so much what I've read of it so far. The next recommendation I have is the Mortal Instruments graphic novels. This is a graphic novel series based off the series The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare, and if you don't know anything about it, then let me fill you in here a little bit. Clary's life has always been mundane. That is until she realizes one day that there are people only she can see called shadow hunters. People who are hunting down demons. It's then when she realizes that her mom has been hiding this whole different world from her. One that's full of vampires, werewolves, and demons. When her mom ends up disappearing, she must team up with the shadow hunters to bring her back. That's what it's all about. Hey, hey. As somebody who has always been rather indifferent when it comes to the Mortal Instruments series, these graphic novels are a fantastic alternative. They bring the story to life in a way that maintains the original appeal of the books, but almost heightens the entertainment factor. It takes the world building from the books and makes it less clunky, which was one of my biggest complaints about the original series, is that the world building, it ain't that great. It's like, here, let me dump all this on your lap, good luck. It simplifies it into a way that's more digestible in my opinion. Not that it's not digestible in the original series, but it's just a lot, all at once. It's a wave crashing down on you, and you're kind of drowning, but you're kind of getting it. It's just too much. It also gives room for different scenes to be executed in a fresh way. And in a lot of ways, it takes a story that's familiar and a little outdated and brings a fresh take on it. You're given this chance to see these characters that you've grown to love in a new light. They're also so much less of a commitment. Like, the Mortal Instruments series is long. At some points, I would say it might be a little bit unnecessarily long, but like, that's just my opinion. And like, obviously, I get wanting to dive into the source material, like, I get it. You want to know all the deets. But this is a solid alternative if you don't want that huge commitment. The only problem is that the entire series is not yet adapted. They're working on it. It will be someday. But eventually that hiccup will shoo fly on out of here and you'll be able to just binge the series in the graphic novel format. The last recommendation that I have for you guys today is Giant Days. This story follows three girls who have just started university. The three have become fast best friends, and we follow them as they experience their life at university. From school itself to friendships and relationships. This has some of the best dialogue in the game, in my opinion. Like, the writers really said, witty banter, that's what you want, and that's what we'll give you. The dynamics between each of the characters is just so much fun to see unfold through each page flip. You fall hard for each and every character and their different quirks and the different perspectives they're bringing to the table. They're constantly finding themselves in these really sticky situations. And let me tell you, it is a privilege to watch them as they figure out how to unstick themselves from these sticky situations. Like, it's so much fun to watch everything just go down. I would say that this one is definitely more on the comedic side, but it does have little serious moments sprinkled throughout it. Not like too serious, but like, you know, just enough. We see growth in the characters both in a personal way and together as their bond grows over time. All of that is paired with a solid art style that isn't too much, isn't too little, it's just right. And I highly recommend this if you're in need of a mood boost because it will boost your mood right up. Alright guys, so those are all the recommendations I have for you guys today when it comes to graphic novels, comics, and webcomics, but I want to hear from you guys now down below in the comments. Let me know if you have any recommendations when it comes to comics, graphic novels, manga even, or webtoons. Let me know all your recommendations down below in the comments. Again, thank you to Disney Book Group for sponsoring this video, and Brightly Woven, the graphic novel by Alexander Bracken, is in stores now. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon, and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, yo! Hit me with those Rex. No, I'm not gonna do it. Today's video is inspired by the recent release of Brightly Whoa! Let's pump it up. I gotta get that. No book damage. We are all good.